I start by using the appropriate wick for these molds. I measure the diameter to give me the size that I need, and then I measure the length of the wicks against the mold, allowing a couple of centimeters at either end, and cut all of my wicks for all of the molds. I then dip them into hot wax to coat them and set them on the jugs to dry. I then get my giant needle and thread them with the wicks, pulling the wick through the center of the mold. I do that for all of the molds. I then get some blue tack just to create a seal underneath the mold. I pour some uncolored wax into the bottom of each mold and swirl it around. I do this to create a white ruffled effect on the flowers. Once this wax has dried, I will no longer need the blue tack because that wax will create a seal. Next, I will prepare the coloured wax for the tulips. I select a pink using a wax chip. I break off a small piece and drop it into the hot wax, and I add the fragrance, which is called autumn fragrance. I give it a good stir and pour it into 4 of the molds. I then put a lollipop stick with a hole over the top, and I use these to keep the wick centered and stable until the wax set. I then prepare the next color, which is called lavender, and again add a small chip and the same fragrance, give it a good stir, pour and stabilize with the lollipop sticks. Finally, for the tulips, I use a liquid color. I use this instead of the wax chips because I want it to be much lighter. Wax chips are very concentrated and usually do come out much darker. Again, I use the lollipop sticks to stabilize the wicks and then wait for them to dry. Before the wax has completely set, I put in the wooden sticks into the wax. Once the flowers have set, I remove the molds carefully. You should probably trim the wicks from the outside just to make it easier if you want. I remove all of the flowers and then trim the wicks to 1 centimeter and also cut the wicks underneath the flowers.